Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy.
And I weigh a slim.
No way, Larry. No way, Larry. No way, Larry. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Really?
You're welcome.
I was really about to say my name.
I don't believe you.
I was going to give my weight, my height, where I'm from, and then say my name, and then you do that.
What is this, Cruiserweight Classic?
It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even fit.
Yeah, it does. It totally fit. It was perfect.
All right.
Anyway, he's Larry.
And I'm annoyed, so.
He's Larry. I'm Duke. And we're gonna get right to it. We don't have a lot of news and notes because Larry normally anchors that segment, and Larry has been staying away from the interwebs because he doesn't want things to be spoiled that he hasn't seen yet.
It's the worst part of this.
Le Ring of Honor.
I don't dictate what I watch and when. You know, I take care of family, and you know my situation.
Yep.
So I have to watch things here and there, or decide to watch them on my own, and I feel bad when I do that. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm getting way behind on for somebody who's really in a position where he should be up to date on everything. And it's kind of like tugging at me right now. So I'm pretty much soon with Raw going, with SmackDown going live, and then TNA being on Tuesday nights on Pop TV anyway. There's going to come a point in time where I just say, you know what? Screw everything I missed. I'm watching SmackDown at 8. I'm going to switch it between SmackDown and TNA at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to finish TNA at 10 o'clock. And that's it. And then we're going to find, you know, what Thursday night opens up now, and we'll watch Ring of Honor on Thursday night, or because I think it's Monday. It's new shows on Monday, I think, for Ring of Honor, or it might be Friday. But either way, there's going to come a time where I'm up to date. But
I believe in you, Larry.
Yeah, when you're so far behind and you have the OCD and ADD that I do, it's like you're obsessively trying to get to everything, but then you have the ADD and you're just like kind of like hesitant to do it.
Yeah.
You know, furry cat walks by and you're like, ooh, all right, screw TNA. I'm going to go follow this cat, see what he's up to. You know, stuff like that. But no news and notes doesn't mean that we don't have anything to talk about. And I have a lot to talk about. We're going to live up to the Angry Larry moniker like you've never seen before tonight, dude. Can I start with something that's really bothering me?
Hang on. Wait.
Are we waiting for a graphic that says Larry is angry? Can you have like two boxing gloves come from each side, and then when they touch each other, like a Larry is angry with like a POW symbol behind it, like appears in yellow?
It's not a bad idea.
That's
I don't know
great.
that it would happen this week, but we'll see.
All right.
We'll see if I can
All
get
right.
around to it. I will have some time to myself because family is doing other things this weekend, so we'll see. Maybe.
Okay. Well, there's that other thing too, and I have to work on something as well that we left on the back burner. But
Yes.
that other thing I really would love to see, because
I know that's on me. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Well, I have something too that I was hesitating, holding on, because once I didn't do it right away, because you know we had the technical difficulties. I'm holding on to it for the mid-year, and the mid-year is in an hour and a half. So, I have to get on that so I can do a, hey, remember when we did this from the archives? Hey, well, 6 months later, how did we do? Kind of thing. But anyway.
Gotcha.
All right. This is a problem for me because of the way the WWE image has been, the whole playing the favorites thing that they've been known to do, how certain people get quote unquote buried while other people get pushed through the roof. The whole inclusion of Roman Reigns' suspension on TV in a storyline that was going to dictate a change in the main event because of it, that ultimately ended in no change in the main event and Roman Reigns is still included, that bugs me. Because here's a guy who got suspended on a wellness policy that the company takes seriously. We don't know what he did, but they take it seriously. But then they include it in a worked shoot, all for a storyline that went pretty much nowhere. That message, to me, says we're okay with Roman Reigns. He's going to take his 30 days, but hey, there's no use to no reason to suspend him or lose his spot in the or take away the match from him. We're just going to leave everything as is, and Roman's going to come back, and everything's going to be fine. Dude, that really, it's not as bad as the whole Reed Flair thing that they did the shoot with, but at the same time, it's kind of dumb, and I'm not happy that they did that. How did you feel about that?
I was, yeah, it's dumb, and I was surprised that they would do that. I'm really surprised that they're going to do that and just filter him back in, which, we don't necessarily know the future, but all things are pointing to that's exactly what's going to happen.
They had people vouching for him. They had your champion vouching for him.
Right.
It's like, oh, he got suspended, but he owned it. Hey, who cares?
Well, yeah. No. I get it. And it's like they're telling the internet story. They're trying to tell the meta story on, within the work that is professional wrestling. So to an extent, I don't mind that necessarily. I wouldn't mind seeing that a little bit more in general, but for this particular topic, yeah, I don't understand it, and there's something that I could rant on, but I don't have enough ammunition for it yet. But maybe when we're off, I'll talk to you a little bit. It's just a super quick second, because it may be something that we can start being a little more sensitive to see if we can get a little bit more ammunition for it, because it's I'm starting to see some rumblings on something else. But anyway, we'll get to it. But yeah, back to your topic. Yeah, it's just I don't understand where they're going with it. The reason why I was bringing up that vague topic is because I feel like it relates to this, but I don't want to bring it up right now. So anyway,
it was like it was only done to kind of be like, oh, he's going he's going to go off script. Oh, he's not supposed to say that. He's not supposed to mention it. But they had a graphic on the screen.
Right.
And then you had everyone vouching for him, like Dean Ambrose vouching for him, and pretty much Stephanie McMahon just saying, hey, it's still a triple threat match. We don't care what he did. He's taking a suspension. But then you had a guy like Titus O'Neil. And how many days did he get suspended?
Originally 90, and then it was brought down to 60 to where he missed the biggest event of the year.
So 60 days, 90 days originally, for grabbing Mr. McMahon by the arm and kind of ushering him to the side and saying ladies first, or whatever it was. But wellness policy, 30 days, can wrestle a pay-per-view beforehand and then can come back for another pay-per-view afterwards. It's not fair.
It's leaning
it's not consistent. How about it's consistent? Not consistent.
I mean, it's definitely displaying the favoritism stuff. And you can it's not an extreme twist to bring out the whole racism stuff again either.
No, it's not.
A black guy gets, or African American, whatever multicultural people want to call it, but I all my friends say they're black, so anyway, whatever. It's yeah, a black guy gets punished for something so stupid. Yes, if there's a trend in the locker room, if there's a lot of backstage stuff, I get that you want to make a statement, but guess what?
He gets a statement suspension.
Right.
The other guy got a wellness policy suspension.
Yeah, the other
they're
guy,
not on equal.
Right. Yeah, they're not at equal places in the company, and they don't get equal considerations for things like that. And I mean, you seriously make a guy miss the biggest, what could possibly be the biggest show of his career ever. You make him miss that over him grabbing your arm. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to jump on the racism train like a lot of people
I was
were
reading
doing.
an old PWI almanac that had a thing in there talking about Sonny Ono from WCW bringing up his suspension, and then mysteriously Booker T wins the championship the same year. And I thought about that. And I was like, I kind of feel like that's happening present day as well. And it's not good. It's not fair. But at the same time, it's just like it just doesn't come like to me. I'm so colorblind to all of it that I don't even know what Roman Reigns' like ethnicity would be. He's related to The Rock, who's sometimes brought up as being African American on TV.
Right.
When it comes to like first ever champion, like that's the only time it's attached to him when it says that. I don't know what these people's ethnicities are,
Right.
so to speak. So that's colorblind to me. That's not an issue.
Right.
It's the whole, I guess, the whole point of acknowledging the bad stuff and pushing it into an angle that ultimately just says like it's not even an issue, and the suspensions aren't even consistent when they line up with each other.
Right.
To like even from Jerry Lawler to Adam Rose to Conor O'Brien to Titus O'Neil, and back in the day when you were talking about this big scandal when it was like RVD, Booker T, Rey Mysterio Jr. all in I think 2007 in the WWE. It's just it's good on WWE for putting this stuff in place where they haven't in the past. And a guy like Roman Reigns even being mentioned in that is like kind of shocking all to itself, because it's always been like the minor guys getting the hammer put down on them. So to get Roman Reigns on it, it's kind of a shock. And it doesn't say that, hey, he's on top of the card, so he's excluded from this. They still gave it to him. And they kind of had to protect their business in the same way, that their plans, their storylines or whatever. But then they just throw it out there on Monday Night Raw and then basically just say, here's your heel calling this guy out for doing something bad. And then everyone's going to come in and kind of like be like, no, he's still in the match. He didn't do anything wrong. Well, what?
Yeah. Well,
that's
they almost made his entire suspension like tongue in cheek.
Exactly. Now they made a joke out of it by putting it in the storyline, is basically for something that could be serious.
Sure.
Whatever is involved, or they kind of like said it's not so serious enough where we can't put it on TV and then create this storyline around it to where in the end he's still not going to be excluded from the match. Well, that's kind of stupid, but whatever. That's pretty much like that pissed me off like right away on Raw. And then like another thing is The Miz. He comes back, right?
Yeah.
They put the Intercontinental title on him, knowing he's going to go film a movie. Then they bring him back in, and they put him in a match with Kane. Okay, fine. But then they have Maurice fake an injury. Miz carries her off backstage. And maybe I missed a segment switching channels in and out of commercials, but they don't reference this ever again.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did? What did they do?
When they came back, she laughed it up that she had faked it. Yeah.
So it was exposed that it was fake. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. My point being, The Miz with the title has been gone, comes back and does a walkout thing. A walkout thing that people have been doing every week for months with Kevin Owens, with Sheamus, with Del Rio, with whoever. A lot of people are walking out. Now, flash forward to SmackDown. He has a match with Dean Ambrose, champion versus champion, and loses clean. Well, what's the point of the Intercontinental title? Couldn't they be doing something better with it?
Well, it's weird because, in my opinion, initially it was elevated with it on Miz because
Absolutely.
You had all the guys that like it was the matches mean something. People
he was
are
being
actually,
chased.
Well, and he was being chased, and people are moving
wanted
through.
To get to him.
Yeah, but people are moving through the ranks. They're like, well, I'm going for this, and the idea is, well, their stock has, even though they didn't win the championship, their stock has raised within the company. Now they're all going for the world title, or whatever the WWE championship. By the way, that was one of the things that I was going to bring up with you. That is an actual news and note thing.
All right, bring it up right after we talk about this.
Yeah, but right after we talk about this. Yeah. So yeah, it elevated those guys. Now all of a sudden they're all all the ones that aren't in some other picture are feuding for the U.S. championship, so it's like they went back down. But I don't know. It's
Well,
like
not really. I mean, only Cesaro and I guess Del Rio from that group, or even were even in a. They had a U.S. title number one contender match
right,
today,
right,
where the winner fought Rusev on SmackDown.
right.
So I'm going to bring that up after you bring up your other point. But
Okay,
regardless, and Sami Zayn and Owens are fighting each other,
but
and
yeah,
Jericho's doing his
right,
thing
right,
with
right.
I
But
don't know who.
so
But
so everyone, so it seemed to be moving people in the right direction like it was supposed to, and but like you said, they knew he was going to. Well, all right. So I'm going to repeat what you said, and then I'm going to backtrack on it just slightly. They knew he was going to make a movie. Why would you put the title on someone like that? Okay. Now I'm going to answer that two ways. Number one, you put the title on someone like that because you don't have faith in other people, which sucks. And I don't think there's anything wrong with them putting that kind of faith in Mike Mizanin or Mizanin, whatever, because I feel like he's earned it and he does a good job with it.
he's a good champion. Nothing
Yeah,
against him.
yeah, yeah. However, him being off screen, doing some other thing is kind of dumb. Now, my other answer is WWE, despite a lot of people being like coming from other wrestling organizations talking about how professional they are, like AJ does, and several other people talk about just how it's a completely different kind of animal and lots more organization and so on and so forth. Besides people saying that, man, do they still blah, 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 fly by the seat of their pants on so many things. So I wonder if the Marine Five was just sort of a we need to put out a movie. Who knows?
I think it's a little bit better produced than just a movie that's to be put out a movie. Like they had to know about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's a backhanded compliment that I'm saying maybe they weren't planning it yet. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't have it planned, but at the same time that's saying they're that, ADD that they're just like, let's just make a movie. So it's kind of one of those. It's not really defending them, and it's not really assaulting them at the same time. I guess, or condemning them at the same time. It's somewhere in the middle. But
I'm
I don't
perfectly
know.
fine
But
with the
but
Miz
yeah,
having the title and not being on
yes,
TV.
okay,
Perfectly fine with that. But when he comes back and he's already doing a walkout angle, fake injury walkout angle,
right.
and then he's losing clean champion versus champion, where like his stock needed to be validated and not Dean Ambrose's. I'm not saying Miz beats Dean Ambrose. I'm saying Miz beats somebody else.
Well, how about Miz beats Kane
Doesn't yeah.
and then walks out on Ambrose?
Uh yeah, I mean
I,
that's
I
fine.
mean
He shouldn't
that
even
that
be in the
makes
ring with Ambrose. They're both champions,
yeah,
and
yeah, I
one
know,
is
but
on the
but
height of their career, and the other one's coming off a movie
but
that
that
needs
does
to
sort
be
of but
reputable again.
that does sort of make a little bit more kayfabe sense because you have the IC guy who says this is too rich for my blood,
Or
and
you
so
just
it
have
it sort of
your
puts the
champions
IC.
win.
Yeah, that's true. Or you just
That's
don't put them
that's
in the
a
match
lost
together, right?
that's a lost concept
Right.
in WWE.
Well,
Your
wins
champions win.
losses, yeah, wins losses don't matter except when they do, except when they don't. But mostly they don't.
Talk about the change because I'm on a roll ranting and there's another
All
thing I
right,
need to
so
get to.
in a, it's not good news, it's not bad news, but it is news. um, from Monday Night Raw on, all of a sudden, it's the WWE Championship. All of a sudden, there's no world heavyweight built into it. So, not sure if this means Big Gold is coming back or if they're going to create a new title that will sort of use that moniker or what they're going to do for SmackDown.
It's going to look like the WWE Championship, except it's going to have SmackDown colors. Just like the women's is red and white.
Do you know that for a fact, or you being
listen?
you
If
being
it's not
tongue
going
in
to be,
cheek?
this is just pure Angry Larry
I
speculation.
really hope it's not like that.
I hope. Listen, I hope it's the old WCW NWA title. Like, I like that title. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. It has history, and it
Yeah.
doesn't need spinners. You know, it doesn't need plates on the side of it. It just has that one name underneath, and it's it's the championship. It's the one Flair used to have to put a $10,000 deposit on to be champion.
Right. But they not only were they calling it that on the shows, it's also been updated on their website as well. It's now the
Right.
WWE Championship on their
And
website.
there's been no validation or rumors or serious rumors other than it's expected there's going to be a second champion. But when you change the name like that, it's kind of like, hey,
yeah, it's kind of a nod.
Bailey's going to be on Raw.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is kind of a nod toward what most everyone was expecting, that there will be a championship for a like big championship for SmackDown. And I've seen a few people say some or make some good points that the biggest thing they have to do here is make sure SmackDown matters and make sure this isn't just a try, give it the old college try type thing that it was the first
like
time.
Shotgun Saturday Night. It's going to be the biggest thing on Saturday night. Then after like one episode, they're like, this sucks. Just put on matches.
Right. So SmackDown needs to be treated with the utmost respect, as well as the new champion needs to be elevated and be seen as an equal to whoever the champion is on Raw.
I think there's two things with that. One being that this is SmackDown Live now. It's not like before when they did the brand split where SmackDown was always taped for 3 or 4 days, depending if it was Thursday or Friday. I think it was even Saturday night SmackDown at one time, wasn't it? On like CW or WB or whatever it was.
Maybe
or UPN. I don't know. I have a feeling it was Saturday night at one time, moved from Thursday to Friday to Saturday to Friday or whatever. But it's not going to be taped for that long. Maybe it was just Saturday night because of local sports. It was preempted. But at the same time, it's hard to do equal footing when there's a match that's going to go on after one or the other. You know what I mean? One of the matches, championship matches, is going to be later in the card than the other. Well, on the shared shows, they're doing their own pay-per-views, so that's that, whatever. But when it comes to like SummerSlam, the first one, one's going to be earlier than the other, and then you go to Survivor Series. Well, one's going to be earlier than the other, so they could do it like one leads off. But they used to always do that. I feel like they used to always do that. Like World Championship title was the opening match, and then the WWE title was the closing match. But whatever it is, they're going to have their own distinct pay-per-views now and whatever, and it's going to be live. So I think they'll do a good job with that. And I think they'll do a nice job with the mixture of new talent and older talent. I don't think SmackDown's going to be only new talent. And I don't think it's going to be mostly new talent. I think they're going to do a good job dividing it up. And they're just going to say, hey, listen, writers have at it. Clean slate. There you go.
Man, I hope they split the writing team and don't double it. I really
do you know
they split
what I hope
the writing team
they don't do?
What you got?
Overselling injuries and selling injuries to protect people. I'm done with it. I don't know if it's just. This is a long time thing in wrestling. It's always there. I don't know why it's bothering me so much in June of 2016, but it is. And case in point, the poster boy for protecting people because of injuries is Cesaro. They're not pushing this guy, but they're protecting him by making his shoulder injured every single match he's in. Can I ask why? Why is this guy so valuable to the company where they're going to not push him, but they're going to make excuses for every loss they put him in? Can people just wrestle matches, Duke? Like, is that hard? Like, why am I having such a hard time with this?
See, this goes back to that topic that I'm not going to talk about yet. I I'll have to talk to you about this off air, but maybe it's one of those things where I don't want to run somebody down, but more and more, but between comments they've made and just more and more evidence like this, like it just goes hand in hand with what you're talking about, and with most of the things you've been ranting about tonight, especially the first thing with Reigns. But it's yeah, I don't know. It's just like what are you? How are you protecting someone? Like when does it become just completely old? That well I know when it becomes that way for you because it has. But when does it become completely old that this guy's injured? Well, if he's injured, then stop putting him in matches.
He
Like
came back the
like
day after WrestleMania.
yeah.
Yet his shoulder is still so bad that he just came out of the surgery room.
Right. And by the way, Seth Rollins completely destroyed his knee.
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins, while they are protecting him from that sunset flip every time he does it now, that he's doing it a lot slower. While he is being protected from the specific injury, he's doing he's doing crazy matches where he kind of does maybe not everything he used to do, but he's still impressive in the ring and putting on fantastic matches.
He doesn't jump off the top rope, miss the guy, and then clutch at his leg for 5 minutes like Alberto Del Rio.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know, he
You're
doesn't
right.
whip somebody into the rope and then lean down and hold his knee. But Cesaro, with every interaction and every miss and every opponent, the shoulder's being targeted. He's always holding on to it. There's always a spot where he runs shoulder first into something. And guess what? In these matches, he loses. And why did he lose? Oh, because the shoulder was a problem. He's not 100%. Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah, we protected Cesaro, but we're not going to put him in a winning situation.
Well, it's almost like you're making
Then
him,
have him lose.
It's almost like you're making him less strong. Like, but by stretching this out like you're doing, you're not protecting him. You're making him look like a guy who can't come back from an injury like Seth Rollins can, like John Cena can, like all these other, like you're literally marking him as not a top star because top stars come back from injuries, and you mention it, but it doesn't play a role in their matches.
You know what it is? It's and this is like tongue in cheek, but it's kind of true, kind of not true, kind of thing. It's WWE's punishing Cesaro for the fans being over on him.
And don't disagree with that.
How many times have you heard that in the history of sports entertainment? They're not pushing Ziggler because the fans love him. They're not pushing Ryder because the fans love him. You can go back into history and how many times that somebody's been like over, super over, and beloved.
Over in spite of the company.
Yeah. So, I mean, the company did their best to make Cesaro look spectacular in that U.S. Open Challenge match against John Cena. That's really the height of everything. That's when he opened eyes to people who may not have been a Cesaro fan to begin with. And then his popularity exploded after that match, only for him to get hurt. Okay, that happened. And then now all of a sudden, every match is, Rusev versus Cesaro's shoulder, Del Rio versus Cesaro's shoulder. Ladder match where Cesaro's shoulder is in it. It's basically
Which is funny because when he was in the ladder match, you didn't see a lot of selling of the shoulder. Like there was very so he's in this, what is kayfabe, this brutal match, and for real, a pretty brutal match because you're having to collide with foreign objects, but he's in this quote unquote dangerous match. And you don't see a lot of, he's standing on ladders, he's jumping off of ladders onto the rope and still doing his spinning uppercut. He's doing all these crazy things, and there's not a whole lot of selling of the shoulder. But then, like to your point, every other match, it's just shoulder this, shoulder that, shoulder this, shoulder that. Yeah, it's really dumb.
It really started to bother me around Night of Champions, I think it was last year, where Nikki Bella worked over Charlotte's leg to take her leg and the figure 4 out of play for like 20 minutes.
I remember
20
you
minutes.
pissed about that.
And then Charlotte just did the move anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
well, why were you working on the leg for 20 minutes only to have Charlotte just do the move anyway? Find another way to win. Have her win. And today, in the champion versus champion match, The Miz was going after Dean Ambrose's leg. And, did the whole whip it into the leg post kind of thing. I mean, he was doing what he was doing, taking out the leg. And the only time the leg injury mattered was like anytime Dean Ambrose did a move, afterwards he would clutch the leg. And then after, when he won the match, when he was standing up holding the title, he was favoring the leg. Well, why are we spending all that time working over the leg and the leg injury is never a factor in the match?
Yeah. I wish the writers and
psychology's not there.
Yeah.
And you think the wrestlers would be
right
keen enough to kind of adapt to it, but it just doesn't seem like they are.
Yeah, I feel like everyone for like a week straight, they like anytime they're not in the ring, they should have to watch Karate Kid.
Exactly.
I mean,
find the perfect way to paint their fence on their off time.
Wax on, wax off. Also, no, the end of Karate Kid.
Karate Kid 3. The Cobras.
The next Karate Kid.
No, we don't talk about that one.
By the way,
we don't talk about Karate Kid 2 either.
By the way, next Karate Kid.
What's your favorite Police Academy?
The next Karate Kid was the first movie my wife and I ever saw together at the theater. How old are we? Anyway, yeah.
Wait, hold on. Why, out of all the movies that went on at that time, or all the blockbusters that could have been open within a mile radius of your living establishment, why the next Karate Kid?
Because it was a chance to go to the movies with my girlfriend at the time. And it was like the only thing, and we didn't do like we weren't going to go watch a horror movie. We weren't going to go watch,
Is there a website I can go to find out what else came out right around the same time?
I'm sure there is.
All right, I'm going to find it while you talk.
No. So, but no, seriously, the end scene of Karate Kid, I think wrestling is too much Rocky sometimes and not enough Karate Kid. Because Karate Kid, he had to deal with the fact that he was injured. Like he had to adjust his offense. And yes, he had been taught a move that was just completely specific to his injury. However, he was still, he had to adjust his offense based on his injury. And you're right. You don't see that in wrestling. Like, especially, so let's go back to the Charlotte-Nikki match. The whole using the figure 8 after your leg's been worked. Charlotte has another finisher. Matter of fact, she's used it on Natty several times now. Natural selection. Like, was Nikki not able to do that? Is that, despite Nikki's intense, what's the word I'm looking for? Intense improvement in the ring. Despite that, maybe she just couldn't pull off a seated or a kneeling face buster like that. I don't know. Or there was maybe it was fear of her neck because that was when she was on the way out to.
I mean, listen, it could have been, but for all the times they've just done roll-ups out of nowhere as well.
Right.
I mean, it could have been like
true. Right.
Whatever.
Yeah, but well, I was trying to find an excuse for that, and that is a valid excuse for not using.
Is totally a valid excuse.
Well, for not using natural selection, but you're right. There's plenty of other ways that Charlotte could have won that match, and that's not. And we're not just picking on the women because that we don't even see the women enough for it to be as much of a problem with them. So it's just that match. That's where it really started irking you, and I remember you talking about it on the podcast. So
right, and now I see it every single time it happens, and it kind of like
you're right.
It's growing exponentially on me because once you notice something, it's like once it's a pet peeve, it's just like every time it happens now, it's just like
you're becoming JR.
Again?
You're becoming Jim Ross.
We just had a pay-per-view where we had 2 ref bumps and whatever, and simultaneous matches that all pretty much mirrored each other. and tag team matches that had no order whatsoever as far as elevating rankings or having any meaning. They were just thrown in there to make it a super card. So a lot has been bothering me. I mean, the live specials have been nice and tight and compacted and great. And then Money in the Bank hits, and there's those two ref bumps, and it's an elongated card, and there's matches in there that shouldn't be in there, and it just like it takes the wind out of your sails.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to say something that will, smarks everywhere will scream, but like not even listening to our show, it's just like going to put a ripple out there in the quote unquote WWE universe or the wrestling universe that will just rub people the wrong way, and they'll start screaming when I say this. Money in the Bank was so much, except for, no blood and no near nudity. It was so close to an Attitude Era pay-per-view that, like, it's not even funny, because in the Attitude Era, tag teams were kind of a mess. In the Attitude Era, you had like every major match was filled with ref bumps. Even like if you played 2K16 and you went through the Austin, I forget the whatever the showcase mode for Steve Austin, seriously, over 50% of the matches that you play in that, which were like his career defining matches, they're ref bumps, and some of them multiple ref bumps in a single match. And it really starts to get you thinking, wow, the Attitude Era was really the ref bump era, because like every major decision that happened in the ring, part of the story was the ref had to be knocked out. And it Money in the Bank reminded me so much of the Attitude Era that it just. I'm not hating on the Attitude Era. It's just like the rose tinted glasses that a lot of people have of that time. If you look at ring psychology, a lot of times there were a lot of cop outs in what they did, because they were trying to make it a little more believable that, well, the ref didn't see it. Well, the fact that the ref keeps getting in the way, it isn't that believable. The ref should know better than to get kicked in the head for the fourth time in the same match. He should just know. But anyway, that was a little side note, because you brought up how Money in the Bank was, but it reminded me so much of some of what was good and a lot of what was bad about the Attitude Era that a lot of people seem to forget about.
I think we brought this up last week, but I think the whole like blahness, I mean, that's probably a word. It's probably going to be like Webster's word of the year for 2016.
Makes sense.
The whole blahness of Money in the Bank and the shows thereafter that have like really good parts to it, and it's still entertaining. They're still fun to watch, but really dull parts too, and like channel changing parts, more so than a couple months ago. But it's all because like everything's going into the new direction with the brand split in a couple weeks, and SmackDown going live and all that. And I think a lot of the stuff is like they're not writing conclusions to stuff. They're not really starting new stuff. They are, but they're really not. Like, it's kind of like they started it, but kind of started it where it feels like it's already being dragged on already. And it's not like it doesn't have like a hot opener, and like, you're not on the edge of your seats for New Day versus Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family. It's just like, it just feels like it's going to happen kind of deal.
I want to come back to that, but
yeah, okay. I mean, there's some good parts to that, but it just seems like everything's getting lost in this like
in general they're marking
purgatory
time.
Kind of stage where we know something's going to happen, but it's not there yet, but we still got to get there. So What are we going to do until then? Well, we're just going to still, Apollo Crews and Cesaro versus Sheamus and Del Rio.
In general, they're marking time is what you're getting at.
What's that?
In general, they are marking time. They're just
they really just kind of like it's kind of like it's not an end, like it's not an inevitable end, but it's an inevitable start of something else, and they
Right.
just had to get there. Like they just
Right.
had to get there. So maybe they're not going to end feuds now. Maybe they're not going to really start feuds now, but they're just going to start pairing people together, and then we'll get there. And they may be on different shows anyway, so it might not even matter to begin with.
Yeah. Now I do want to go back to
Yeah,
New
go
Day.
ahead, because there is something good from there. I
Yeah.
think.
So let's spin positive here for a little bit. New Day versus the Wyatts is a like I saw people in the subreddit just like
Oh, the good
get
old subreddit.
get really like half the people got just enraged that that New Day, this comedy act, would interrupt Bray Wyatt's return. But it's just like
That's what they do.
that's what they do. That's their. It makes
They're
sense.
a Geico commercial. It's what they do.
And guess what? And guess what Bray normally does? He interrupts people. So it's like
Yeah.
it's a perfect counter characterization. So
Here's
it's,
your perfect Geico commercial. You ready, Duke? Bray Wyatt's in a rocking chair with the Wyatt family behind him, and he starts talking. And then all of a sudden, the Geico thing comes up. Be like, we're going to flash forward this ad so you can get to your video faster. And they come back, and it's just the New Day twerking. They interrupt because that's what they do.
That's fantastic. That's great. That's great. But yeah, between the fact that the characters are playing off of each other so well, and then you've got this interesting dynamic of whatever is going on with Xavier, whether it be he's been tranced or whatever's going on, and he's playing it just utterly perfectly. It's refreshing to see something a little different. Like it is actually, because normally you don't see the comedy act who's also really talented in the ring, but they're very much the, they're sort of the shills of the company now for everything, because you will buy anything they tell you to. But you have the New Day, and then you have the Wyatts, who have this mystique about them, but just have constantly been plagued by injuries, unfortunately.
And a 13% win percentage on pay-per-views.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
So you have that, and they normally build these feuds to nothing, unfortunately. But man, if these guys could go for a while and even maybe trade the titles back and forth a little bit.
Even maybe Xavier Woods joining the Wyatts.
Yeah. Well, somebody
I'm
pointed
down
something.
for that.
Yeah, I am
that.
too. And somebody pointed something out that blew my mind. I'm like, how did I not realize that? Did you realize who Xavier Woods was dressed as on Monday? Maybe you'll think about it.
I can't picture what he was wearing, so I don't remember.
Freaking Luke Harper.
Oh yeah, he had the wife beater on. Yeah, absolutely.
He was.
Yeah, they all played their own role, and
he was actually dressed as a Wyatt, like Kofi and of course Big E were like parodies of the Wyatts, but Xavier was dressed to a T like Luke Harper. Like
now, here's the one thing I don't want.
He's already sort of bleeding over into that territory.
Here's the one thing I don't want, since they're playing up the whole like Xavier is mesmerized and scared at the same time of Bray Wyatt. The one thing I don't want is like Xavier jumping ship and then helping out the New Day like it was a ploy the whole time.
Yeah, like
if he goes over, like I want him to go over, because that's the one thing they never did with the Wyatt family, although they teased it with Daniel Bryan. I guess they did do it with Daniel Bryan at one time, but nobody's ever joined the Wyatt family from a feud.
Yeah.
From a like a tag team or a faction standpoint, nobody's jumped ship and Bray Wyatt has harnessed them in to mentor them. It's only been new people. It's only been the original two and Braun Strowman. And they missed out on so many months of this being something that they could have been doing. Where not like the NWO where everyone joins the Wyatt family eventually, but how many people in the WWE universe at one time could have been pulled into the Wyatt family to like make something substantial from Bray Wyatt and that crew, because they're obviously, the fans like them, even though they're not supposed to. They're the heels. The fans like them. They're money. And there's been so many people on the roster, and no one specific and nothing I'm thinking of off the top of my head, that could have been misled by Bray Wyatt, and they could have joined them,
I
and
tell
then
you,
it could, yeah,
I'll tell you a perfect character, Damian Sandow.
Bray Wyatt. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, Bray Wyatt would be perfect. Uh, Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Damian Sandow because he already has a beard, so he could
Yeah,
grow it
but I
out.
mean, not even like
But
playing
hang
up
on,
the
hang on,
whole.
hang
They look like them. They have to join
No,
them.
no,
Just a
no. That's
whole.
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Hang on. That's the first part of what I was saying. Like he could grow it out a little more and just sort of fit in visually, but also he is the intellectual savior of the masses, right? And so you have this charismatic guy who can outthink anybody, and then Bray somehow finds a way to get into his psyche and get him sort of and make him subservient where he's always been this guy that's that can outthink any problem. So it
Yeah.
it, it
Well,
totally fits into the whole cult of
without even going
personality
that
thing.
deep into it, but it could have been anybody.
No, you're
And
right.
then
You're
like
right.
Bray Wyatt
I'm
could
just
have
saying
had a hold on a
that.
U.S. title
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and tag team champions, and like because I mean they had Harper
Sure.
had the Intercontinental title for a while, but it could have been like a legit stable faction at the peak time Bray Wyatt was doing Bray Wyatt,
At peak Bray.
and Bray Wyatt has pretty much lost every feud. So he's still popular. He's still wanted. He doesn't have much steam when it comes to like winning and track record. But I think at least now, if Xavier Woods would jump ship and become a Wyatt mentor, Bray Wyatt's whatever it is, whatever,
Mentee.
yeah, mentee. If Bray Wyatt would mentor Xavier Woods, and maybe Xavier Woods gets a U.S. title shot, IC title shot, wherever it may be.
Like he starts succeeding with Bray where he couldn't
Yeah,
with
it could be a
that could
thing.
be
And listen,
interesting.
they can win the tag team titles, and they can still do the Freebird rules, with
Exactly.
the Strowman, Rowan, and Xavier. But
Yeah, so
it's a good thing that they could do with this, except if they do it just to kind of get to a point where they just flip it back and Xavier Woods costs Wyatt's the match, and hey, we're all together. I don't want that. I don't want that swerve, double swerve, or whatever it is. I'd like them to just go for it, or just not go for it.
well, how about this? Just a couple of fantasy booking points. We do have the brand split coming up. What if they actually do put Woods with the Wyatts and they separate them on the two shows? They put the Wyatts on one show and New Day on the other without Woods. That could be interesting. And they only meet up, and then they meet back up at SummerSlam. So you have you have the build for maybe we're going to win Woods back, so on and so forth, stuff like that. So
could be a good Survivor Series match.
It could also be good there. Yes, you're right. So,
but I guess New Day would need two people then, and or three people, and the Wyatts would need Harper back. And
well, you got all the new guys coming up,
so
you could incorporate some new guys in that. That would be a fun place for. Since the titles wouldn't necessarily be on the line.
Well, they can do a lot when they do it, except if they undo it.
What? Yeah,
by New Day having the titles after Battleground, if that's the match is going to happen at Battleground, and then like all's the same.
Well,
and we just kind of did that misdirection for the interim.
That would be a fun place to either have Enzo and Cass with New Day or other new guys. You could have American Alpha. If they come up, that would be an interesting place.
They're gonna have R-Truth and Titus O'Neil,
probably.
Mm-hmm. Or Mark Henry and
Mark Henry,
because R-Truth is tied up with his.
Mark Henry is still with the company, and I'm not hating on him. It's just like, I mean, he just does appearances now.
By the way, happy anniversary to the hashtag Mark Henry deserves better.
Is it the anniversary of Mark Henry deserves more?
I'm sure we've been doing this over a year now.
Yeah,
and we brought that up pretty early in the stages of the GnWC.
They have been using him a lot with the outside the ring stuff. He had some fun spots on Swerved.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys get paid. They're going to do something.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. But all right, here we go. Ready?
Go.
Airheads with Brandon Fraser, Steve Buscemi, Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, and Kramer, Michael Richards from Seinfeld.
Nope.
You had the reboot of Little Rascals,
No way.
which had some Andre with Tina Majorino from Veronica Mars and Napoleon Dynamite, and a seal.
Nope.
Not Seal the singer, but a seal. Natural Born Killers, Woody Harrelson,
No.
Juliette Lewis, Tom Sizemore, Tommy Lee Jones, stuff like that. I think that was the movie of the year. But okay. Wagons East with John Candy and Richard Lewis.
Let's go with no.
Milk Money, Melanie Griffin, Ed Harris.
No.
Color of Night with Bruce Willis. Blank Man with Damian Wayans.
I was looking
And
for
of course,
a
David Allegria.
good wholesome movie. And
In the Army, Pauly Shore, Andy Dick.
a good wholesome movie that didn't have dick jokes in the title.
In the Army now?
Andy Dick.
He's not a title dick joke.
He is
psychopath.
a dick joke. He is
He's
a
a
walking
psychopath.
dick joke.
Pauly Shore, though. Hey, buddy. Come on. That's whatever.
No.
I made my point.
No.
Time
my
Cop
point.
came out a week later with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Also, no. Wholesome.
Oh, whatever. Just saying.
I'm not going to go watch some extreme anything. I needed a safe movie.
You're going to go on Netflix. This is your homework. You're going to go to Wikipedia and look up 1994 in film. Then look up a movie that came out around the same time as The Next Karate Kid. And you and your wife are going to watch it on Netflix. And then you're going to report back to me her reaction to the movie afterwards. That's happening. Results next week.
Okay, I'll
By
have
the way,
to
folks.
listen to that back and actually listen to the instructions this time.
I can repeat them.
Nah, don't worry about it. But
Why
I
not?
think we're done, right? Yeah, we're done.
I'll-
let's take a fork in this because we just kind of ranted and let's end it on a semi-positive note.
Holy Shore.
No, we already the New Day thing.
Who's your favorite Pauly
Wyatt.
Shore? Was it Pauly Shore or Jesse Camp?
Pauly Shore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever.
I
it
didn't
is for
really
you.
like Jesse Camp, by the way.
Whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's Larry, and he's just gonna. I don't know. Is he gonna end the show, or is he gonna? What's he gonna do?
What did you do when you opened the show? You kind of interrupted me, right?
Yeah, I did.
All right. You know what? Just get off my computer. I have time for this bull crap.